Derrick Cardello-Smith, sir?
Yes, I am, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. This is in the matter of Derrick Cardello-Smith, MDOC number 267009 versus Sean Combs, Sean Puff Daddy Combs, also known as Sean P. Diddy, also known as Diddy, Bad Boy Records label owner, founder, also known as Puff P. Daddy, Bad Boy, Diddy Run the City, Sean Combs, also known as Sean Puffy Combs. And this is file number 24-7362NO. I'm grab your paperwork here real quick out of this other paperwork. We do have Mr. Cardello-Smith appearing from the Michigan Department of Corrections. Sir, where are you currently located?
I'm located at the Ernest C. Brooks Correctional Facility, 2500 South Sheridan Drive, Muskegon, Michigan, 49444, ma'am.
All right, thank you, sir.
Oh man, how do we get started with this video? So, I did a live earlier today. Shout out to BJ, that's Surprise Witness TV. She actually did like a read through and a reaction to the Derrick Cardello-Smith civil lawsuit and some of the filings, and it's just, I'm trying to understand this, right? Because if I were to give you the short and sweet of all of this without reading the papers, right? If I'm having a conversation with you guys, right? And I'm having to tell you everything short and sweet without like really getting into the legal documents, right? It would be like you guys wouldn't believe it. I'm having a hard time believing it, right? So you have a situation where a man by the name of Derrick Cardello-Smith decides to sue Diddy. He decided to do his own representation, files a lawsuit against Diddy. He was actually in a court camera thing doing this whole filing, right? He wins a default judgment of $100 million against Diddy because Diddy didn't respond. Diddy's attorney jumps in and basically says, we were never properly served. And of course, they're denying those allegations. Derrick Cardello-Smith has tried to depose J-Lo and the likes of other people, right? For his lawsuit. There have been things that Derrick Cardello-Smith has said that I just, like, my mind has been spinning on it ever since I saw him on that CCTV court footage, right? First of all, he said that he was having like meetings with Diddy's financial people.
Okay, the purpose of it is based on two actions taken by Mr. Combs himself, directly with me here. We did a live one-on-one visit in our prison visiting room.
He said they did a live one-on-one visit in the prison visiting room with Diddy? Diddy went to the jail to visit this man? Is that what he's saying?
Two meetings within the past 2 weeks with Mr. Combs on one meeting and then a financial advisor on the other meeting on Mr. Combs' behalf. And he stated that he would make me an offer to end the case and what happened to me because of other things that he stated he has going on in his life that require his money right now, and he wants to sell everything off. And he made me a financial offer of $2.3 million
oh my God.
to allow what happened to me to go away. And he stated that he's going to be selling his property. And under the 2005 California Civil Code 2881-2885, the creation of liens, which allows out-of-state justices and orders to cause a stop of any title transfer, property transfers in Los Angeles or any other place that he has property. He stated that he wouldn't be able to proceed with that sale.
I mean, the man has really good knowledge of the law. Clearly, he's been studying. He's doing his own filings. He's filed a lot of lawsuits before. I heard on that Surprise Witness that he had filed a lawsuit against the Archdiocese. So there's been a lot of lawsuits. I mean, the guy, and he's willing to do his own filings, which I think is great. Okay. So there is, like, I guess, a submission into the court, right? And in the submission, you have three very interesting affidavits. The first one is of an officer, an investigating officer or police officer by the name of Nicole Ribber, I think that's how, I'm hoping I'm saying her name right. Probably not. Nicole basically said that she received payment to basically set up Derrick Cardello-Smith. Okay. And a lot of it was directly from Diddy. And so basically to frame this man of a sexual assault, rape, kidnapping type of crimes. Okay. This is what Cardello-Smith was supposedly set up with, right? And it's all coming from Diddy. Then you have an affidavit of an actual lawyer, okay? A lawyer who puts her bar license number up, basically gives this elaborate situation that involves multiple government agencies, multiple officials, okay, that are all in Wayne County and in Michigan. And she, as well as the mayor, the chief of police, other folks, the head prosecutor of Wayne County, which is Kym L. Worthy. All of these people are all working together and they've been paid by Diddy, right? And so this prosecutor by the name of Suzanne writing this affidavit is basically saying that she also was paid to make sure that Derrick Cardello-Smith would be convicted for crimes. There's like this elaborate setup. And all of this setup is happening at this government level because Diddy needed help to essentially, what's the word? Get rid of Derrick Lee Cardello-Smith in the way in which he doesn't get a percentage of Bad Boy because he was a former Bad Boy employee. And so this elaborate rapes and kidnappings was concocted. Not only was that, but like all of these parties worked together. And this attorney, okay, prosecutor, assisting prosecutor, who currently works in Wayne County with Kym Worthy, basically admitted to have prosecuted 128 black men who are potentially innocent. Okay? You can't make this up. I don't know. And then, hold up. It gets deeper than this, right? You have one of the victims that alleged that Derrick Cardello-Smith had raped her. One of those victims also files an affidavit basically saying that he didn't, that all of this was an elaborate plot from Sean Diddy Combs. And then, as if it doesn't get bigger, okay, because it does, like there's more to this. You have a situation where all of this is somehow connected to the shooting and attempted murder of Suge Knight and murder of Tupac Shakur. So the Wayne County, the Wayne County out in Michigan, shout out to everybody from Michigan, somehow is like connected to the Tupac shooting. You know, they didn't mention how Keefe D played a role in all of this. They didn't, right? You can't make this up, guys. You cannot make this up. I just don't know how. So I have a lot of hesitations, I'll tell you. First of all, when I read the documents earlier, I read them, BJ read them. She pointed this out, and I also pointed this out during my live. I said, there's a lot of misspellings in these documents. It doesn't make sense. That's number one. Number two, the date. Some of these were signed or notarized, and that was only like one page. It wasn't like all the pages were notarized. Of February 29th, 2025. There is no February 29th of 2025. There's no 29th for February in 2025. So there's that. One thing that I did observe, okay, is that a lot of these documents, you know, they kind of sound the same, right? Did they get together and say we're gonna sign a bunch of affidavits and then make sure that Derrick Lee Cardello-Smith submits them? Like, was it independent? Do they all know? I mean, clearly seems like all these people that are, you know, between the attorney and the officer and the victim, they're all signing affidavits. Do they know each other? I got a lot of questions about that, right? And then Another interesting thing that was found with one of my moderators, Vicky, shout out to Vicky. She pointed out that there's an actual blog, and the blog is called, it's called Median, and the writer by the name of P. Thompson. Now, P. Diddy, Kym Worthy, Detroit police framed Cardello-Smith to cover up Diddy's rape. And a lot of what's being filed in there, okay, is actually on this blog. All right. So, what I found to be interesting about this blog, and I'm showing it to you guys, all right? And again, we're probably ahead of the news because we typically are, right? Shout out to BJ because, she's ahead of everything too. I'm going to show you this blog that I'm talking about, all right? Because I wanted to see how much of the blog actually matches what's been filed. It names Kym Worthy. Kym Worthy is a Wayne County, Michigan prosecutor, an elected official akin to a district attorney. In 1997, Worthy was a judge. Of course, the blog recognizes that this whole situation is like straight out of a movie, right? He has police reports, recantations, an affidavit from a notorious contracted killer, which that's also mentioned. All of them suggest, now, wait a minute, an affidavit from a notorious contract killer. I didn't see an affidavit from that. I saw an affidavit from a victim, a lawyer, and a police officer. Now, there is this contract killer that's mentioned in this paperwork because apparently this contracted killer is said to have, like, he was contracted to basically get rid of Derrick Cardello-Smith, right? But there is no affidavit of this contracted killer. All of them suggest that Worthy is a dirty prosecutor who set up Smith and others on false crimes. Worthy's office has denied all the allegations. Her communication director and Maria Miller emailed this statement. Here's the only response. This is a completely unfounded claim. Miller continued, no further comment will be made regarding either of the matter outside of the court of law. All three incidences will be heard in court of law. Smith is currently suing Combs, and both his guilty pleas are being appealed. So Kym Worthy has made a statement that all of this has been unfounded. But what about the other people? All right. So then this person writes, let's start with this 1997 police report. The report was written by a former Detroit police detective, Patrick Jackman. It describes the aftermath of an alleged rape of Smith by Combs. Wouldn't it be the other way around? Because he's alleging that Combs raped him. Smith said that too much attention from some of the ladies. There's some typos in this thing, and there's a lot of typos in this blog, so it's kind of hard to kind of make out everything that's even being said here. This is the problem. There's typos in the filings, and there's typos in this blog. And let me tell you, I'm just trying to get into this information. So, for the right, Smith said too much attention from some of the ladies, which infuriated Combs. Smith told me this led to a confrontation and attempt to defuse the situation. Combs offered Smith a drink, only it was lace. Smith passed out. Combs anally arred him, Smith said, and used a gun to subdue him when Smith woke up in the middle of the attack. Later that night, Smith sought Combs out, beat him with a tire iron until Worthy appeared, as in the prosecutor. In every police report and an affidavit, Worthy is mentioned as saying, "You better not mess with my investment." She then later took custody of the R kit, Smith said. Likely story, only Smith has affidavits from two fellow prisoners. An upstanding member of the community, a business owner, George Preston, Warren Evans, and current Wayne County executive, and Robert Ficano, Wayne County government official. All have been submitted to the court where Smith's lawsuit is filed. Combs' lawyers have declined numerous attempts for a comment from me, but they did issue a statement in Touch Weekly, blasting the lawsuit as frivolous. The allegations in this new filing, like the claims in the lawsuit, are ridiculous and totally false. The notion that some 27 year after 27 years after the alleged events at issue, and after a court already found his claims unlikely to succeed in merits, Mr. Cardello-Smith just located a key witness who just so happens to be incarcerated in the very same correctional facility in which Mr. Cardello-Smith resides. Is, to put it charitably, implausible as it is in the face as Mr. Cardello-Smith's allegations that Mr. Combs promised to give Mr. Cardello-Smith 49% of Mr. Combs' assets in exchange for $150,000. Combs' attorneys, Wolf, told the In Touch Weekly, "It is convenient that Smith's got affidavits from two fellow prisoners at Ernest C. Brooks Correctional Facility. One of the affidavits was by Aaron Rodgers, who said in his affidavit that he was also set up by Worthy on rape. Rodgers claimed to have witnessed the rape and the aftermath as well. In the last couple of days, another person also signed a handwritten affidavit, and he is not in jail. His name is George Preston." So, okay, like, let me time out here, right? Is this guy like submitting false declarations? Because he's literally putting a lawyer and an officer, like, are these all false declarations? But anyways, in Rogers' affidavit, he claimed that Worthy threatened to set Smith up on 2 rapes when she appeared to defend Combs in 1997. And that's exactly what she did, Smith told me. Worse than that, a notorious hitman claims that an investor in her office worked with a dirty cop to try to kill Smith, and then they set him up on rape. The hitman is Vincent Smothers. Smothers has killed at least 10 people, including a massacre on Runyon Street in Detroit, September 17, 2007. He and his associates went into the home of a drug dealer, Big Mike Robinson, and they went in blasting. Only Robinson wasn't the only one there. Before the massacre was over, Robinson was one of 4 people dead, including a minor. A few hours after the massacre, a teenager named Devontae Sanford approached the crime scene and made the mistake of telling cops that he knew something about the murder. Hours later, he was tricked into confessing. Bill Proctor currently runs Bill Proctor and Associates, but previously he spent 4 decades in the local news in Detroit. He attends several of Smothers' hearings, and he followed this case closely. Sanford was also jailed for 9 years, and Proctor told me that Worthy's office had to be dragged and kicked into finally releasing him. Meanwhile, Smothers was given a deal where he served 50 to 100 years. Michigan has no death penalty, and he pled guilty to 8 murders. He did not plead guilty to any murders on Runyon Street because Proctor told me Worthy felt like she had the right guy, Sanford, in jail. Worthy even held a press conference the day Sanford was released, still trying to justify her incarceration of him. Smothers generally killed drug dealers like Robinson, but he made one exception. Okay, like, can we get to the actual point of this? Because it's like the run-on sentence that I'm like, how did we get here? And I think that if I have to ask the question of how do we get to Cardello-Smith being set up? Because y'all lost me on this one, like literally. I am a loss. To say, like, my head hurts. On December 26th, he killed Rose Cobb. Smothers was hired by Rose's husband, David Cobb, a dirty Detroit cop. According to Smith, Cobb attempted to hire him first. Smith told me that he was let out of jail in 2007, taken to Cobb's, who offered to pay him $15,000 to kill his wife. When Smith refused, this turned into a physical altercation. That's when Cobb went to Plan B. Smith told me, and he set Smith up on rape. Smith said he was out of jail when he met 2 women. This turned into a threesome in a car before Cobb opened the door and forced Smith to confess at gunpoint to rape and kidnapping. Smith told me that he planned on calling Cobb as his key witness because he found out Cobb had been trailing him all night, except Cobb committed suicide, likely because he knew he was about to be arrested for hiring Smothers to kill his wife. At that point, Smith said he took a no contest plea. It's a likely story, except the Detroit Police Department made a report confirming this set of events. Kym Worthy, now, like I said, there's some typos in this thing too. Kym Worthy's office did not share this with Smith until 2021. By then, he had already pled nolo contendery, which is what? No contest? Okay. Only this is a Brady violation for the U.S. Supreme Court case Brady versus Maryland. Prosecutors are required to disclose all exculpatory or evidence which helps the defense. Evidence with the defense. Having a dirty cop at the crime scene tainting the investigation is very exculpatory. When Smith asked for an appeals court to overturn his conviction, the shocking ruling acknowledged that Cobb was at the scene, but the court argued this wasn't new information. The court hung its hat on a pretrial statement by the alleged victim. Only since this order was written, that victim has recanted, and in her recantation, she also states that Cobb pressured her into making a statement. This leaves no doubt that the Worthy's office and Detroit police knew that Cobb had tainted his investigation. They went forward with the prosecution while hiding this evidence. That's a shocking level of unethical behavior. The Detroit police did not respond to an email for comment. Smith told me that the affidavit has been submitted to the court and he's awaiting a ruling on that. In 2024, the story took another turn. Smothers was housed also at the Ernest Brooks Correctional Facility. He approached Smith. Smith told me with a really crazy story. David Cobb asked Smothers to kill Smith. Smothers procrastinated so much that Cobb stopped waiting to set him up for rape. Smothers put this shocking story into an affidavit. Well, where's that affidavit? Because I don't see that in the filing unless it was filed somewhere else. Smothers said something else very important in the affidavit. He said that at different times he was approached by Cobb and a colleague, Patricia Penman. Now, Patricia is mentioned. Patricia is currently an investigator in the Worthy's office. At the time, she worked for the Dearborn, Michigan Police Department. Dearborn PD declined comment besides confirming she once worked for them. Penman asked Smothers to kill Smith, calling it personal. Smith told me he and Penman dated in the early 1990s. So, hold up. The investigator that worked for the prosecutor's office contacts this hitman and basically said, you need to kill Derrick Cardello-Smith because it's personal. And Cardello-Smith told this blogger, he told me he and Penman dated in the early 1990s. While in jail for this rape, Smith told me he was set up for another rape in 2019. The rape allegedly occurred in the 1990s. Smith was in another threesome, he told me, only with another guy and a stripper called Carly Carpenter. Only Carpenter is her married name. At that time, she was Carly Boyke, the same that Smothers said attended the meetings. I reached out to Smothers for comment through JPay, but he did not respond because JPay would be like how you pay the inmates. He would be currently incarcerated. Bill Proctor was hired by Smith to investigate this matter. Bill Proctor also hired Derrick Cardello-Smith to investigate the situation. He interviewed both Smith and Smothers, and they both repeated the same story I have described. Are they telling the truth? Well, Carly Carpenter has also recanted. She filed a habeas corpus recanting. In a recantation, she says she was pressured by Worthy's team to testify. She was paid money, and one of Worthy's team was Patricia Penman. In a previous interview with me, Carly has also recanted. Is Smith telling the truth? Has he been set up for 2 rapes while also having his own rape cover-up? I know for sure because I spoke with the victims that they said they were paid to lie by Detective Patricia Penman. Deceased Sergeant David Cobb, Gene Deal, former Bad Boy Record employee, which none of the affidavits mentions Gene Deal, and Kym Worthy. This is a conspiracy of lies orchestrated by Detroit police and Wayne County prosecutor, and the truth is coming out. And that's it. There is nothing else to this little blog. I know there might be more article. Oh, yes, there is. I mean, some of these articles are written from last year. Like the first one was, let's see, July 31st, 2024. And they call themselves Pete Thompson Case Legal Analyst. This is insane. What do you guys make of it? Somebody make some sense of this, because I can't, and I won't. I don't know. What do y'all think? Look, Cardello-Smith could be completely lying and, filing crazy reports, affidavits, or these people could be real and they could be filing these affidavits, or this could be a huge massive cover up and we have a man who is wrongfully convicted behind bars. I have a lot of questions. I wasn't there. I'm willing to, be able to see both sides of the coin of everything. Do I definitely believe in government corruption? Absolutely. But reading the affidavits, reading the paperwork, reading this blog, literally, I just want to toss paper all over. Because I don't know what, like, I'm just like, I'm done. Like, what? I'm done. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure you check out the live from earlier today and also check out BJ's channel, all in the description box, because we're going to be following it. What is this? And it sounds like the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office already made a statement, but is their very own prosecutor, city assistant prosecutor, or whatever, are they also making affidavits while currently being employed there? I mean, that must be tough. Work meetings must be tough. Guys, let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'll see you guys on the next one. Rabbits out. Bye, guys.